Am I audible? Am I audible? Yeah. Very good afternoon. Uh, as a continuation to the last class, so far we have come to the fifth chapter, fifth unit of the management of industrial relations. So in this block, as we yesterday we have discussed about the contemporary issues in HR and IR. So industrial relations. So as a part of that, we have three units are there. That is a 13 14 and 15. 13 one is the International Labour Organization. So with that we have discussed in the last class, what is the law, how is it applying the organizations, how what are the rules and regulations and suggestions, recommendations, and guidelines given to the industries. So in the last class we have discussed about all these contexts. Now we are going to discussing about what is the contemporary issues in management of international relations and at the same time international relations in international perspective. So we are going to discussing about these two units as a part of block 5. Yeah, the part of this 14 unit block 5, the contemporary issues in management of industrial relations. So this focus on the challenges and evolving practices in maintaining positive, productive, and legally compliant relationships between employers, employees, and unions. So here that we have to discuss what is the contemporary, what are the contemporary issues in the management, how the industrial risks are going to be there with respect to the issues. So at the same time, with the contemporary emerging, the current issues which are focusing on the as it, how is that contemporary issues are challenges and evaluating the practices in maintaining positive, productive, and legally compliant relationships between employers, employees, and unions. So, as we discussed in the from the beginning onwards, these complete industrial relations is going to be discussing among employers, employees, and the unions. Employers, nothing but the company owners or that company, those who formed, and employees, those who are working for the particular company, and unions. So the unions were officially registered or given permission by the management, that is employers. As workplaces and workforces transform, so in company they have a different workplaces are there across the India, for example. Let us take an example here. So our male, they have different workplaces and workforces means labor. They are going to transforming from one position to another position, one place to another position. That is a transformation from the particular thing. So industrial relations, the management must address various modern issues that impact employee relations, company culture, and operational effectiveness. How that company or organization effectively working, how that company are cultured in terms of mixing of employees or the mixing of technology are facing the problems, and how that employee relations are going to be there in terms of top to bottom, horizontally or vertically, how that relations are going to be there. So these contemporary issues are going to be there inside. Let's see what are the significant contemporary issues. You can see one to one. What are the contemporaries? First one, managing remote and hybrid work. What is hybrid work? Yesterday we discussed about hybrid work, nothing but offline and online. In both way, the work will be done. The companies they send the work to the employees. They are going to working for the company. That work may be known as hybrid work. And managing remote. What is that remote work policies, work-life balance, inclusion and inquiry, equity. This remote work policies, with the rise of remote and hybrid work models, companies face challenges in managing productivity, engagement, and performance evaluation without direct supervision. That means without taking any support in the organization level, they are going to controlling, they are going to monitoring, they are going to engaging with employees, they are going to getting the productivity, they are going to getting the performance of the employees, and they are going to evaluating the work culture. The work balance remote works has blurred the line between work and personal life, making it critical for industrial relations management to set boundaries, manage expectations, and ensure employee well-being. That means those who are going to working to the company, they have to manage their work at the same time life balance. So together they don't get any stress, any problems at all. So they have to get the work. Otherwise, the work will be collapse. Otherwise, they don't get any productivity about. So they're going to setting some boundaries in terms of time, so in terms of work, nature, culture, and time limit. And they're also putting some expectations, some targets. So altogether, how the people are working with their work and how they're doing their personal life. So work-life balance, these two things are most important under hybrid work category. And inclusion and equity. So managing inclusively in a depressed workforce is also challenging, as remote employees may feel disconnected from decision-making process or promotional opportunities. So generally companies they used to face a lot of problems. So they don't make them. That means they don't make their work force, that means workers or laborers, so depressed. So also challenging. This challenging point is there. The remote employees may feel disconnected from decision-making process and promotional opportunity. So, if you are going to depressing, if you are that remote employees will not get connected and will get to participate in this harvest level. So we have to inclusively, we have to involve all the employees, those who are working in different places and different work cultures. Second one, employee well-being and mental health. Another part of contemporary issues that employee well-being and mental health. So mental health initiatives, workplace wellness programs, burnout preventions. What is the mental health? If the employee is working for the company, the company has to look about their health. They can provide that health hospitality and they can provide the health card if not that size is not available in the existing company premises. And also sometimes they used to send for extraordinary sessions. So they used to take this company's workers. Uh, what they should know and they used to maintain and they have to solve their health issues. They should take initiatives strongly. Workplace wellness programs. Companies are implementing wellness programs, counseling services, and flexible schedules to address mental health concerns, especially in high stress environment. So, workplace wellness, the sometimes people used to get stuck about their work. They don't get a proper medical, even they don't get any medical service too, because the company has to provide that work culture, nature, and they have to implement a work activity. The burnout prevention. So, addressing burnout by promoting measurable, reasonable workloads, work-life balance, and supportive the management supportive and management practices in essential in maintaining a productive, healthy work environment. The company has to build an organization. They have to provide the essential management and they should know. The other part is that evolving workforce expectations. So here, get and millennial expectations, career development and learning, purpose-driven work. So another part is that Gen Z and the multinational expectations, younger generations, the flexibility, meaningful workload, career development program, how it is going to impacting on the human life. So employees are increasingly focused on growth opportunities. Industrial relations management must address this by creating clear career paths and promoting a culture of continuous learning and upskilling. So they have to providing so reskilling and upskilling programs to the employees, those working in the organizational level. So they have trained them. That employees should learn about the company's work culture. Purpose-driven work. There is a growing demand for organizations to demonstrate social responsibility and contribute positively to society, which influences employee satisfaction and retention. So purposefully we have to recruit the employees, we have to drive them. Otherwise, the new people will come and they don't know that it's at a work culture. So yeah, that is that purpose-driven work. And another part is the technological disruption and automation. So automation, job satisfaction, technology can lead job security, can lead to job security, and this is found. And concern about the job, IR management must address these concerns and facilitate trying the program. So we don't know that what is that retaining? No. So we have to provide these. We have to facilitate the retraining programs to the employees, those who are in the last stage, or else they are in the back step. Digital surveillance. Increased use of surveillance technology for monitoring productivity has raised ethical concerns and privacy issues, requiring IR managed to balance monitoring with respect to and managing change. Implementing new technology requirements, management. So implementing new technology requires managing the transition process effectively, training employees, and addressing resistance, resistance to ensure smooth adoption. Gig economy and non-standard employment. So non-employment rights for gig workers. Gig nothing but a developing economy. As the gig economy grows, issues around benefits, job security, and workers' rights for freelancers and contract workers need addressing. So the company is to look about these parameters, issues, and benefits, economy growing, job security, and workers' right for freelancing, the contract between legal companies. Many countries are implementing regulations around gig work, focusing on organizations to rethink how they manage in and fair competition, ensuring fair pay benefits and protections for non-standard workers while balancing cost and organizational goals is increasingly important. So, what is the important factor here? Diversity, equity, and inclusion (DA). So, creating inclusive workplaces, eliminating workplace discrimination, gender equality, and pay protection. So, what is creating inclusive workplace? The companies are focusing more on diversity and inclusion to create equitable opportunities for employees from all backgrounds in terms of gender and abilities. So, as a company or the organization, they have to follow this industrial character because companies are focusing more and more. They're diversifying the work culture. So, exactly companies are not recruiting the idea employees. They're recruiting other category, other this. So here, why am that? If you create workplaces, otherwise, these kind of and eliminating workplace discrimination and gender equality pay profession, ensuring equal pay for equal work and fair treatment for all employees has become major focus in industrial relations management. So employees always they have to think that I'm also equal to the my employee. Globalization and cross-cultural management. What is globalization? So any product, any service comes to the market that have so they're going to operating from one place to entire the globe about the service, about the import, about the export, or else about the recruitment of the employees. So they how to managing they are going to managing this civilization. There is a company culture. So cross-border labor standards, multinational companies must navigate varying. So managing cultural diversity. So industrial relations management must develop strategies for integrating diverse work cultures while maintaining harmony and mutual respect among employees from different backgrounds. So at the organizations level, they are going to managing the cultural diversity. That means they are going to integrating the diverse, integrating that strategies and diversifying the work culture among the existing employees. That is from 50 members or 100 members. Based on that only you get 20. And ethical labor practices. With increased scrutiny of supply chains, organizations must ensure ethical labor practices globally often require oversight of contractors and the suppliers. So the company has to pay they have to pay the certain things with respect to the particular product. So they have to maintain some ethics and standards for lifelong or certain stage. After that, the company will look over some other faculty and they're going to give you some other. So, and ethical labor practices. So, with increased scrutiny of supply chains, organization must ensure ethical labor practices globally, often requiring oversight of contractors and suppliers. So, the companies must earn money at the same time they must follow the ethical considerations only. At the same time, if there is no proper ethical standards, company is cheating them. Ethically, they have to submit the document or the goods wherever they lost in the market. And labor unions and collective bargaining. The changing union leadership is a landscape. Alternative work organizations, collective bargaining in non-traditional sector. So let's see what is labor unions and collective bargaining. So here, together there is scope for attracting and retaining the employee. Alternative workers organization. New forms of worker representation such as the digital platforms and employee networks are emerging, which may require adapting traditional industrial relations approaches. As per the requirement, they are going to recruiting the employees, they are going to installing or that occupying the particular property, and also they are going to involving in matter only. Simply, are not going to involving in these matters. So, the collective bargaining non-traditional sectors will collectively work together for the W organization. So, alternative point of view, ethical and sustainable business practices. Another part of contempt issues and the uh, block of fourth point that ethical and sustainable business fund first. What are the ethical? What are the unethical? The corporate social responsibility. Any company, if they're earning more than 1,000 rupees, they have to contribute that economy to the in the government. So, festival sustainability. So, industrial relations management. So, environmental sustainability. Any company, they are going to recruiting means they are going to surviving the employees only because internally, externally, they are going to inquiring about the persons to work in this artist culture. The same way, how the company is going to working, you can note down about the environmental sustainability in this organization. What are the requirement things are there to sustain in the market? What are the things so that we have to discuss at the time of companies meeting, annual general meeting, AGMs. So generally here, these are the small examples of this environmental sustainability. And what are the transparency and accountability? So organizations are increasingly expected to demonstrate transparency and especially regarding rate wages, diversity, and transparency and accountability. So we have discussed in the discussed now. And another part is that legal and regulatory changes. What are the regulatory changes? What are the legal changes? Let's see. The compliance with the evolving labor laws, data privacy and protection, health and safety regulations. So challenging labor laws, challenging the legal laws. So here, how that involving in the labor law and how they are going to work in the problems with respect to the social parameters. So changes in labor laws such as a and data privacy and options. As data protection has laws like GDPR become more stringent compliance ensuring employees data, manage transparency and gain consent for data collections. So the data privacy is important aspect or important parameter or approach in this harness culture. So they are going to evaluating, they are going to comparing with other organizations also to manage transparency and also gain the consent of the employees in this organizational level. And health and safety regulations, especially in the post COVID-19 era, workplace health and safety standards have become priority, and IR management must keep pace with the regulatory changes to protect employees. So employees are going to be protected by the organizations. They have to uh, get that benefits or welfare activities or the support from the government or the companies. So example of contemporary industrial relations issues in the practice. Amazon and employee surveillance. Amazon use of data tracking and AI to monitor warehouse employees' productivity has raised concerns about privacy, job stress, and the impact of constant surveillance on work morale. The issue has led to increased calls for unionization, particularly among warehouse staff who seek more sane work conditions and privacy rights. Employees IR management has had to balance productivity and that need with the employees' rights, creating the complex IR challenges in the faster paced industry. So you can take any examples of the company's data. The company is still going so that we have to face in this organizational level. So companies used to recruit new people. The some other people will stop. The some people we used to work on their own technical requirements. Some other is in the political background. In summary, contemporary IR issues in management reflect a rapidly evolving workplace shaped by technology, changing workforce expectations, global connectivity, and increased emphasis on ethics and sustainability. Addressing these issues requires information and address um, to maintain and address the issues require innovative, adaptive IR practices to maintain productivity and fair employer-employee relations that may lead to construct a new relationships among the employer and employer. Also, it must also shelters about the organizational. And another part is last one is another part is the IR in international perspective. How it's going to be there in industrial perspective, that is industrial relations. So the industrial relations, the companies should follow according to the ILO, according to the organizational level. So the companies should always maintain uh, a good relation among the companies. So they should uh, involve in a different parameters, different um, dimensions. So then only they can grow as long as the companies uh, will be there in the global level on um, the market. So here, let's see that industrial relations in an international perspective evolve, examining the relationships between employees, employers, and governments across different countries, focusing on how cultural, economic, political, and factors, legal factors shape labor markets and workplace dynamics globally. So here the country to country and employers to employers, employees to employee, and the governments should involve all in terms of cultural, economic, political, and legal factors. All these are influencing the international relations. So when there is a clear cut about these factors in terms of cultural, economic, political, legal, that the country will adopt or make a shape, make a, them very effectively in the business. So with globalization, the need to understand the industrial relations at the international level has grown as business and fact labor forces increasingly across national boundaries. So, if there is no proper relationships among the countries to country and companies to company and politically, legally, or culturally, economically, if you don't maintain certain things, definitely that may affect on the complete organization. So that the companies may not survive because that we should maintain a positive relationships among the countries. Now, what are the key aspects of yeah, in international context? Labor laws and regulations, role of trade unions. So, labor laws and regulations. Each country has unique labor laws governing minimum wages, working hours, collective bargaining, and workplace safety. So these laws reflect the cultural, social, and economic values and can vary widely. For example, European countries often emphasize workers' rights and social protection, while countries like the United States may lean towards a more market-driven approach with fewer regulations. So you can see European countries and American countries. There is a lot of difference is there. The company countries are European countries are emphasize workers' rights and social protections. But when go to the US United States, they are leaning towards a more market-driven approach with fewer regulations. And the role of trade unions. What are the role of trade unions in the international perspective or context? Trade unions structures and influence driven by country. In Scandinavian countries like Sweden and Denmark, trade unions have significant power and often work closely with employers to negotiate favorable terms for workers. In contrast, union influence may be weaker in developing nations, where workers' rights are often limited and union activity can be restricted. And in terms of collective bargaining practices, I'll also see that workplace culture and practices. What is our collective bargaining? So in some countries, the collective bargaining takes place at a nation level involving industry-wide agreements, example, France and Germany. In other countries, collective bargaining may occur at a company or local level, example, in the United States, where there is less government intervention in labor negotiations. So if there is no law on less government intervention in these organizations, there must be a collective bargaining practice will be there in the global. And when it goes to the workplace culture and practices, so culture greatly influences industrial relations practices. For example, Japanese companies traditionally value lifetime employment and loyalty, with units often focusing on cooperation and productivity rather than confrontation. So, in contrast, countries like UK and US may have more adversarial industrializations. So, these countries have some adversarial, the negative relationships, but other things that are Japan uh, um, and some other countries, they are going to have a lifetime loyalty at the working cultures or workplaces. And the government's role, what is the government role in this organizational level? So governments in various countries take differing approaches to industrial relations. For instance, social democratic approach, neoliberal approach, corporatist model. So what is that social democratic approach in Sweden? It emphasizes the strong welfare programs and government interventions to support workers, high union density, and cooperative labor relations. The social democratic approach is going to be there in the Sweden countries. We'll go to the neoliberal approach. Example, United States, America. So it emphasizes the minimal government intervention, free market policies, and limited labor relations, which can create a more flexible through less secure and labor market. So here the liberal market. This is a liberal market is there in the American countries, and the corporatistic model is there in Germany. So government, labor, and employers collaborate closely, often leading to centralized collective bargaining agreements that set standards for entire industry. So if there is a corporatistic model is there in the German company here, all employers, corporate labors, and the government are going to be collaborating very closely. And what is that global labor standards? Now, international bodies such as International Labor Organization (ILO) work to set global standards to protect workers' rights. However, implementation varies by countries. So developed countries are often more likely to enforce these standards, while developing countries may struggle due to limited resources or political will. So global sometimes global um, labor stands also will influence the political. It depends upon the political parameters also. So that's the reason that international labor law also setting some standards countries to country and also implementing in a different way to country by country. And challenges in international industrial relations. What are the challenges are there? Uh, you can see the challenges. So globalization has led many companies to relocate operations to countries with lower labor costs, impacting job security and wage levels in their home countries. This has created a tension between labor market in developed and developing countries, as well as concerns about labor exploitation in low-cost regions. Sometimes, let's see example, Indian companies, India's, for example, Genpact is in Hyderabad. Genpact is working completely on outsourcing basis. They used to get the works from the US countries. So here they are working for the global level. Actually, they are not developing any work activities. They are working as per their guidelines instructions only. So that's the reason they are assigning the works to these Genpact companies like Capital IQ and some other companies in India. They're working for outsourcing business. And the standardization of labor practices. The global firms face the challenges of standardization labor practices across different countries. For example, what may be acceptable in terms of working hours or safety standards in one country may not meet regulations in another. So standardization is different one company to company, one industry to one industry, one country to one country. So depends upon that they are going to providing the safety measures or not. That we can't say exactly, but the companies certainly they have to provide all these benefits to the employees because they have to standardize the account working conditions and the cultural differences, economic disparity, digitalization and remote work. So industrialization practices that work well in one culture may not translate well to another. So differences in hierarchical structure, communication styles, and attitudes toward authority impact how negotiations and labor disputes and are handled across cultures. So the cultural differences is going to be there across the countries and economic disparities. Definitely, the economic disparities is going to be there because Indian rupee is different, American dollar is different, and Chinese dollar, Chinese currency is different. So country to country, dollar price may be different. So definitely, there will be economic disparities is going to be there in SRS level and distillation and report work. So companies, for example, let's take an example, Uber. The Uber is located in America, not in India, but they are operating their work from there to across in the globe. So they're remoting, they're getting remote and doing work in a fingertip. So simply they have developed a particular app and they are providing all the services to their employee, their laborers and their customers. And compare to examples of industrial relations approach. And let's see how the comparative examples of industrial relations approaches are there. When come to see the Germany, US, and some other countries. Let's see in Germany has a corporate model where trade unions, employees, and the government work collaboratively through works councils and collective bargaining agreements. This model emphasizes job security, skills development, and worker representation. So this is one of the model of the uh, industries. And when it comes to the US, it follows a market-driven model with less government intervention in industrial relations. So labor unions operate mainly at the company level, and there is more flexibility in hiring and firing practices, though it often results in lower job security. So because they're driving, that they are not going to stick to the particular thing. They're driving, they are going, and at the end of the day, they are going, they're reaching their target. But in middle, we can't say that whether they're going to continue with that existing company or not. In Japan, it emphasizes the lifetime employment, company loyalty, and in-house training also. They're emphasizing about the lifetime employment and also company's loyalty. But Japanese students often focus on maintaining job security and tend to become a company specific rather than industry wide. So this Japan company is completely depends upon some other country or parameters. And China. Industrial relations are heavily influenced by the government with the strict regulations of labor unions and a focus on social sustainability. So, the all China Federation Trade Unions (ACFTU) is the only legal trade union and is closely linked to the government. So, in China, there is a companies also having a type with the governments. And what are the future trends in international relations? So, increasing influence of industrial standards, shift towards employee-centric policies. The ILO has the ILO has a ILO and other global organizations continue to push for improved working conditions and labor standards worldwide. So that is that increasing the influence of the international standards in the worldwide. At the same time, shifting towards employees central policies. They're shifting how as the talent becomes a more critical asset liability, companies may adopt policies that prioritize employee welfare and work-life balances, aligning with trends to European and Scandinavian models. The technological dispersion and gig economy. The rise of gig and remote worker may increase it, necessitate new international regulations to protect non-traditional workers who often lack the protections of formal employment. It focuses on how the technologically they are developing, how the technically they are involved or implemented in this organizational level. And it focuses on sustainable practices. With increasing awareness of environmental and social governance is the companies are maintaining companies are maintaining so it focuses on the sustainable practices. With increasing awareness of environmental and social governance (ESG), companies are integrating sustainable practices into their industrial relations, aiming for fair wages, diversity, and ethical labor practices across global operations. So, in some, industrial relations in the international perspective are complex and shaped by varying legal, cultural, and economic factors. So, we cannot put in a single dimension or in one particular dimension. So, social, economical, cultural, and legal factors are going to be there in the artisan level. So understanding these dynamics helps business and the policymakers navigate labor challenges and build cooperative, fair labor practices in the globalized world. The globalized world, we have to understand if you have good understanding about that government's rules and regulations and legal, social, economical factors, then these dynamics should help to business and also policymakers to navigate the different challenges faced by the companies and how to provide a better service to the laborers and how the laborers are going to getting benefits with a smooth and cooperative manner. So with this, that complete uh, total 5 years were complete. That is the management of industrial relations. So I'm stopping now. So we have any doubts, Karthik?
No, sir.
Okay. Now the subject complete syllabus was completed as of today. So with this, I'm concluding and once again, good luck to you all. I wish all the best to students.
Thank you, sir.